3 days prior to this ruling, a judge struck down the very same provision. It's believed the case will be groundbreaking because it will most likely head to the Supreme Court. Joining us live in the newsroom is Fox 26 legal analyst Chris Tritico. Chris, all right.
The dog ate my homework. I don't know what happened.
So nice of you to be here. Also, Fox 26 News analyst Mustafa Tamiz and public policy analyst Jackie Bally. We should also give you guys a round of applause. Woohoo! Yeah, you're here. All right, guys. How likely do you think this case will go to the Supreme Court?
Well, abortion cases typically tend to make it to the Supreme Court, and this one, which is offering new and severe restrictions as the abortion, the pro-choice people make it as new, very restrictive restrictions on abortion is certainly someone's going to ask the Supreme Court to take it up. Now, last year there was over 7,000 cases that the Supreme Court was asked to look at, and they took 64. And so it's not like they take everything that goes their way. As a matter of fact, they turn down the vast majority of them. But these issues are ones that generally seem to be something the Supreme Court will take a look at. The issue that happened last week is the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned the injunctive relief, not the case necessarily yet, but the injunctive relief banning the law from taking effect, that portion of it that says doctors don't have to be affiliated with a hospital. And so that portion of the law takes effect immediately while the case is still being appealed to the Fifth Circuit. But it could be a big inroad here, a big tell as to what the Fifth Circuit is thinking about how they're going to rule on this thing. And Mustafa, we'll start with you. The Fifth Circuit didn't overturn all of the injunction, but they overturned that part that says doctors have to have hospital privileges before they can operate in an abortion clinic. That really puts the law into effect.
Yeah, and that's the most devastating part. If you look at Texas, we're about 850 miles from one side of Texas to another. We have the 3 largest cities in the nation in Texas. And after this law goes in, there'll only be 3 clinics where you'll be able to get a legal abortion. So what this does in essence is that this is a real challenge for people, for the poor. If you have money, you can go to another state, you can go to another city to get an abortion. But if you don't, we're going to see the old awful things that happened when abortion was illegal.
Now, Jackie, what the court's looking at is the injunction such that the law can't go into effect right now? What the Fifth Circuit said was this is not an overdue restriction, and we're going to let this part of the law take effect.
Correct, and they're saying, if you have to travel a little bit further, if you want to have this procedure done, then that's not going to be something that's an undue burden. And I think also they're looking at the fact that in Texas, I mean, we're so conservative in the first place. We looked at all of these measures when it was going into effect, when the legislation was looking at passing it as a law. So we knew that the Democrats would come after us, and we knew that some people would question the legality of it. And that's why you see General Abbott and others who are saying this will go through, it is legal, because we knew that it would be tested eventually.
Well, I got to go to Donnelly, but I hope that the Fifth Circuit's not looking at this from a political standpoint. I hope they're looking at it from a legal standpoint.
Well, I hope so too.
We'll see. Donnelly's checking out the Facebook and Twitter pages.
I am checking out social media, and a lot of folks are still sleeping this morning, but a lot of folks are also making a comment. And I just saw a comment come across, and I am trying to get back to that comment.
Uh-oh.
But, so many folks want to know, and I'll find her comment, but so many folks want to know what's with the flip-flopping? Either you're for it or against it, or, make a decision. So many people want to know what's with the doggone flip-flopping.
Yeah, that's a great point. Here's the way it works. The law comes into effect, and the lawsuit is filed. The judge, Yackel, in Austin, Federal District Judge Yackel, who was appointed by George H.W. Bush, he tried the case and said, I find that this law is overly restrictive, and I'm going to enjoin the law from taking effect while it's on appeal. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, who has to look at the law, who basically grades Judge Yackel's papers, disagreed with him on that portion of the injunction that requires doctors to have hospital privileges, and they didn't find that unduly burdensome. So it's not flip-flopping, it's just different judges making different decisions.
Oh, that's interesting,
yeah.
Chris.
And the interesting thing was, that what I found was Judge Yackel, who was appointed by George H.W. Bush, a Republican, found that the law was overly restrictive.
Because it is. I mean, it is overly restrictive. And what I find the most disturbing part is that they hide this in a sense of this is protecting and making abortion safer for women, when in turn what they're trying to do is eliminate abortion. And this is kind of like a Republican tactic now, that even though—
Which Dan Patrick admitted.
Well, and many others. Dan Patrick was caught on record, but there's many others.
But even when you're talking about flip-flopping, your Senator Wendy Davis, she's now vacillating and saying, well,
right,
I'm supported in some conditions. So, I mean, now that she's running for governor, she's flip-flopping.
I got to take control again. We got to stop right there.
but I want to say something.
Domily before the producer takes my ear out.
Mustafa's is going to burst if it doesn't come out.
He comes in late and now he takes over and cuts us off. I like the picture better.
And you know, you guys, Arnetta Hicks Murray on Facebook, she says, I understand the purpose of the Texas restrictions, but it should be a woman's choice.
All right.
And I look forward to hearing what you guys have to talk about in the next hour.